Well, would you look at that? I don't look as bad as I feel. I look fucking worse. Hello, beautiful bookworms. My name is Katerina and welcome to my channel. And I'm sorry if I'm not jumping and dancing around. However, this is the face of someone that had a terrible night because finally she had the second dose of the vaccine. However, there was some side effects that I was not hoping for. But whatever, finally fully vaccinated. We are very, very happy. I know I don't seem like it, but tomorrow I will. So since I was on bed rest for the entirety of the day, I thought, well, maybe I should try and film something. I will have to do a lot of breaks, consume a lot of water, but I think we can wrap up the month of August if you want. So in the month of August, I have read 5 books, I've read 2 mangas, and I've read 1 comic. And I am very happy about that. It was a month where I've read some stuff that I already started in July. However, I was actually trying to do the Spooky Smart Beach Readathon, which is hosted by Jordaline Reads. However, I have read some things for the prompts, but then the entirety of the month just went crazy. I had a lot of personal and family situations to deal with and all this. So, I'm just gonna tell you what I read and I'm not going to even pay attention to the prompts. If you've watched my TBR for that, you'll probably see some books that I mentioned there, but at some point in time, I just wanted to read easy stuff and the TBR that I chose was not easy at all. And so because of that, I just read whatever I wanted to read. And I'm very sorry because Jordaline is impeccable and she has the most cool horror readathon, but I couldn't. So first of all, let's talk about the e-arcs that I read for this month. As you probably know, if you have been in my latest wrap-ups, and I'm sorry for speaking so slowly, but this is what we have. If you've been on my latest wrap-ups, you know that I have a NetGalley account and you know that I read some e-arcs when I have them. And so I read 3 e-arcs this month. 2 were books and another one was a manga. Sorry, my mind. So the first one that I read, which was coincidentally also the first thing that I finished in August, was called A Dragonbird in the Fern, and this is by Laura Ruckert. I think that's how her name is pronounced. If it's not, I'm very, very sorry. This actually came out on August 3rd, which was pretty cool. As I said, I'm not used to read things before they come out, so I'm always really excited when I have early access to stuff. And since I started reading this in July, I was hoping to finish this on August 3rd and do a video, but then I was out and so I couldn't do it. I was on vacation, but I want to tell you right now that Dragonbird in the Fern is very, very worth it. So, Dragonbird in the Fern is a YA novel, which normally would make me and other people that are already growing up a bit say, really, a YA? Because there hasn't been a lot of new fantasy YA that I have been incredibly excited about. However, A Dragonbird in the Fern, it's a tongue twister, is incredibly excited because it's not only a fantasy YA, it is also a mystery, a bit of a dark mystery, and it also has dyslexia representation, which I do believe that reading books with representation is incredibly important. So our main character is dyslexic. It's not said and stated explicitly in the text because in that world that word does not exist, but she has a lot of difficulty reading and learning new languages, which is a problem because she is going to be marrying someone from another region. So the basic plot of A Dragonbird in the Fern is that our main character, Giara, she had a sister, an older sister. They are monarchy, so part of the rulers of that side of the country, and her sister was going to get married to this man from another country, and they were going to build an alliance in order to not have wars and to just trade and do commerce with each other. However, she is brutally murdered and nobody knows who it was. There are no leads, there are no things. And the interesting thing is that in this world, when someone is murdered in the country our main character is from, they stay as a spiritual being that really wants justice, because that country is known for its justice. And because the murderer has not been found, the sister has been developing into a raging spirit. So she hurts herself and everyone around with clawing, provoking accidents and other stuff. And the family is very, very worried, because if the killer is not found, the raving spirit might just kill the entirety of the family while searching for someone to blame. And with this in mind, also, our main character has to take her sister's place and marry a stranger to build an alliance to her country. So as you can see, she's trying to play the detective, find the murderer of her sister, but also just taking all of the world in her back, because she, the one that cannot read, the one that cannot speak other languages, has to be the one to unite countries and kingdoms and to prevent all-out war. It is beautiful, of course. There's a very insta-lovey sort of thing, which is pretty normal in YA, but it does have a lot of interesting discussions about you yourself building yourself, even though you have flaws and weaknesses. Sometimes they can be your strength, and it has a lot to do with different ways of approaching the same matter, different ways that people can work together, different religions, different moralities. And it was pretty cool, even though it is a bit predictable if you've ever read any type of fantasy. But it's really cool, and I really think that you should give it a shot if you like YA fantasy. And even if you've not been into YA fantasy recently, I think that this one is a good one. Then the next arc that I read, it has a really big name, which is The Shadow Book of Ji Yoon, the Chinese classic of weird true tales, horror stories, and occult knowledge. And this is by Yi Iziyu and John Yu Bransku, I think. I'm very sorry, I don't know how to pronounce these names, but I hope that they are correct. So The Shadow Book of Jin Yu is a compilation of horror and metaphysical stories from China that supposedly are based in experiences that friends of Ji Yoon and Ji Yoon himself had while studying the metaphysics, the Confucian method, and actually in their daily lives. And even though they are extremely creepy, they're also told in a way of fables, so they're not excessively scary. So even if you don't like horror stories, you should and can read this, because they're not excessively gory or scary. They just leave you with a creepy feeling and a tingling on your spine, and they are pretty interesting. As someone who loves Asian horror stories, particularly Japanese, which are the ones that I'm most in contact with, I absolutely love learning how different this Chinese sort of metaphysical world was approached by Confucians, philosophers, and all of the others that were studying the world and what's beyond it. And I think that each and every story leaves a mark and a little thing that keeps you guessing and thinking about the thing of the story, the main part of the story. You consider stuff, so it's more than reading a short story collection just per se. It's reading it to actually try and understand and reflect about those themes, which I really enjoyed, and so I would highly recommend as well. And not escaping this sort of I love everything that I have read until now. Oh, I forgot to say, that one came out on June 5th, so it's a little bit late to the party, but you can still grab it. And as I was saying, the last e-arc that I read was provided by NetGalley and Kodansha Comics US. So I am very thankful to the publisher and very thankful to NetGalley for providing me early access to this one. This one is a manga that just came out on 17th of August, and I have never read an arc of a manga, and I am so excited because this one definitely will be one that I will buy. So, killing the suspense, it's called The Decagon House Murders Volume 1, and this one is based on a novel, a story wrote by Yukito Ayatsushi, and it has art by Hiro Kiyohara, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And if you think that this name is at all familiar, Yukito Ayatsushi is the author of Another, which is that big pink horror book that I have there. That is a manga version. The author actually wrote the novel version, which was then adapted to a manga, and the same with this one. So the author wrote the novel and is now being adapted to a manga. So I did read the first volume of this, and oh my god, I absolutely love it. I know I don't seem excited, but that's because I am dying. But apart from that, I am extremely excited. This is about a group of people, college students, which is pretty great because it's not YA, it's a little bit new adult, and it has more space for gore and more space for terrible things to happen, which, if you haven't guessed by the title, it is a detective horror novel. So we are very excited. And so it's a group of college students, and they all are a part of this club, which is sort of a detective club. It's an extracurricular club, and they all have the names of mystery writers from the West, like Agatha Christie. So we have someone called Agatha, and that's not her real name. We have someone called Leroux because of Gaston Leroux, the man that wrote The Phantom of the Opera and was also known for writing other tales. We do have Arthur Conan Doyle as well. It is a girl, which I loved. But yeah, we have those people, and they're all going like on vacation to write detective stories because that's what they do for their journal, for the club journal. They all go to this island, and in this island there was a murder 6 months ago, and apparently they are also involved in what could be another murder of a colleague. I am not going to tell you more. The artwork is beautiful and brilliant, and I think that the plot is amazing. I do want to read more. Hopefully I can get an e-arc for the second one, I don't know, but I'm going to buy this as soon as it comes out because I loved Another by the same author, and I really want to read this one. So since we are talking about manga, I am going to tell you about the manga that I've read. I've read another one, which is Bakemonogatari Volume 1, and this is by Ogreto, and the original story is by Nizioizin, which is a name. And I am not really sure what I think about this. I gave it 3 stars because I'm not entirely sure if I like it or not. So the premise of this is very basic. Monsters exist and they're all around us. So Japanese gods and Japanese yokai, or demons, if you are familiar with the culture, are all around us, and they can have an impact in your life and change your life profoundly. And so we have this boy. He one day catches this schoolmate when she's falling down the stairs and realizes that she has no weight. And soon we discover that her weight was stolen by a crab god, which it's strange to say the least. But then there's this ritual where she has to face her demons and take it back from the crab. So it was pretty cool. The artwork, I mean, it's nice, but I've seen better. However, it's also sort of a bit like things that I've already seen. I don't know how to explain this. It's cool, it has nice morality, and it has a nice message that it gives. It has cool monsters and it has cool action scenes, but that's what it is. It's cool, and I don't know if I want to invest my life in this series because it's a big series, even though it's one of the most known series out there right now. I don't know, I think this could be something that I would be happy to watch the animation, but to read more of this, I am not really sure if I want to. I mean, this is divided into arcs about the people that are influenced by these demons or gods, and each of them has their problem that they have to solve, and I don't know, it just sounds so basic and so like stuff that I've already read or watched, but at the same time it's not bad. I don't know. I'm really confused about this. If you've read Bakemonogatari, tell me something in the comments down below. Tell me if you like it or not, because I'm really confused if I should go on with this or not. I don't know. Then I have read The Joker issue 5. This is a comic that if you've been following my recent wrap-ups, I've been reading each month, so for the last 5 months. And this one was a flashback comic. It was interesting in a way, but I didn't like it as much as the others. First of all, the artist changed, which, I mean, I guess it was a flashback, they could do it, it was okay. But at the same time, they really need to do that, and the plot point of this, it's supposed to be about the first night of the Joker in Arkham Asylum. And I mean, it was a bit, I don't know, the character of Gordon seemed already unhealthily obsessed with the Joker, which he wasn't supposed to be already, only when other situations regarding the Joker character happened, and I don't know, it all sounded so strange. I am hoping that issue 6 is better. I did really enjoy it because, of course, it has a Joker and it has the characters from Batman, and I really like that world, but it was lacking in my opinion. Then I've read 3 more novels, and getting this out of the way already because I already know I'm going to hear criticism and people unsubscribing, but I reread Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. So, why did I do this? I did this because my life was getting a bit hard this month, and I wanted a comfort read, which normally for me is books that I already read and easy books to read. And no one can tell you that Twilight is not an easy book to read. It's pretty easy. The plot is nothing out of this world. However, this has to be my 7th or 8th reread. And I have to tell you, I really learned to appreciate Twilight. I mean, obviously it's not my favorite book series in the whole world, but I never lied to people. I actually like the Twilight series. I like the writing of the series better than the actual movies, which I think did a disservice to all of the characters, and I'm very sorry to the actors that had to play those parts. But the books itself, they're not well written at all. Stephanie Meyer doesn't know how to write, but the characters have a little bit more personality, if you know what I mean, all of them. And even though this is a little bit problematic in the way that portrays the Kiliut tribes and the Indian tribes or the Native American tribes present in Washington, at the same time, I can recognize that and appreciate the fact that this is actually a good story for people that like paranormal romance. And we have to give it to Stephanie Meyer for actually writing a YA novel and putting people reading again, because at the time of this, people weren't reading. So, I liked it. I've forgotten how much I liked Bella Swan. She's a bit of an underrated character because everyone thinks that she's a piece of trash, but actually she has a lot of personality. In this book, at least. New Moon is another different thing. Also, one of the things that I noticed that I have to say in here, and people are going to be mad as fuck with me, but I mean, I'm not saying this in a negative way, I'm just stating a fact, is that at the same time that I was rereading this, I am rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer with my boyfriend. And, I mean, if you met the character of Angel, Edward Cullen was based on Angel. Like, I mean, you can unsubscribe if you want, but just give me a chance to explain myself. Do you know that episode in season 2, I think, beginning of season 2, where he is on her bedroom watching her sleep through the window? But in Twilight it's creepy, but in Buffy the Vampire Slayer we all love Angel and we want a vampire boyfriend like him. Double standards, anyone? I mean, he's also an emo, almost red-haired, brooding vampire, and we love him. And I actually like Edward Cullen too, with all of his problematic flaws. I like Twilight. That's it. It's not my favorite book, but I like it. What's wrong with that? Then I have read the second book in the Sebastian Bergam series. I don't know what this is called in English, my god. See, I think the English title for this is The Men Who Watched Women. However, the Portuguese people translated this to The Disciple, which makes a lot more sense if you know the fucking plot of the book. So, I don't know what the original translation of this is, because this is by... Where's the names of these people? Michael Jorth and Hans Rosenfeld. So, as you can see, they're Scandinavian, I believe. So I don't know the original title of this, but it does sound like The Disciple is better than The Men Who Watched Women. However, I have read the first one, Dark Secrets, and loved it. And now, the second one was even better. It is great. We followed the same cast of characters that we followed in the first one, with some other appearances of people that annoy the fuck out of me, but they're also interesting. And we still follow the main character, which you are supposed to really hate, but at the same time admire, which is Sebastian Bergam. The series is called the Sebastian Bergam series, so that should give you a plot point. And the only thing that I'm going to say is that this has to do directly with the first volume, but it's about a new killer. And this one is a serial killer that kills women, rapes them, and cuts their throats. And it's a bit messy and gory. There's a lot of gruesome descriptions, so if that's not your thing, don't read this. However, if you like a good thriller book, I do tell you that this series is the one for you. I really enjoy this one. Even better than the first one, and I'm very excited to continue on with the series. And finally, to finish this and to rant a bit, which is not usual, I am going to tell you about The Ice Twins by S.K. Tremaine, which was the book that I hated the most this month. And when I say hated, I say I gave it 1 star on Goodreads, and that's because I cannot give it 0, because this book was not good. Which is actually pretty sad, because I have 2 more S.K. Tremaine books in this house which I haven't read and I wanted to read, and I was excited about the premise as I was with this one, and now I'm afraid that they are all going to suck. So, The Ice Twins. The plot of this is that there's this family, father, mother, and 2 twins, 2 girls. And one day there's an accident and one of them falls off a balcony and she dies. And mother and father decide that the best thing to do is to go to this island that they have inherited to actually start over. It's a Scottish island with a lighthouse. And let me just tell you, the lighthouse is completely destroyed, so I don't know how they think that taking a traumatized 7-year-old to a destroyed lighthouse was going to improve her relationship with people and make her survive her trauma. And I say trauma because the sister watched the other sister fall and die, which is pretty terrible. But they decide to do it, and one day the surviving sister tells the parents that she is actually the sister that died, and they made a mistake, so they mistake the twins. Let me just tell you, first of all, that I'm not a mother, and I don't know if I will be. I would want to be a mother, but the probability of me having twins is not that high, but I have always heard that even parents of identical twins, especially mothers, could differentiate them because they are actually different. They have different personalities and they are different people, which they say and they state in the beginning of the book. So that was a problem already, because supposedly they couldn't differentiate their children. Also, another problem is that this story is basically the story of 2 toxic parents making their traumatized child even more traumatized, because each and every single one of them had a favorite twin, and they really want that the twin that is alive is their favorite, which of course is not helping the actual twin that is alive. And this already happened when they were both alive. So one had more cuddles from the mother and another from the father because they wouldn't switch. And why though? I mean, again, I never had children, but this just sounds like a little bit of abuse, but fine. And then we have the cherry on top of this, our main narration. Let's not forget that this is a dude writing, and our main narration is of the mother. The mother, who describes herself as weak, as silent, shy, possibly a bit stupid, and the only thing that she's glad about is that her husband still wants to fuck her after everything that happened. Yes, you heard me correctly. That is the plot of this. And then you have certain chapters from the husband's point of view, which he is supposed to be your hero, the person that you root for because he's the one that's actually fucking suffering and doing what's right for his child, except not. However, he's someone with very abusive and violent tendencies, but you're supposed to forgive that because his dad hit his mom and him and then died. So sad. And he was also an alcoholic, and the son is also an alcoholic. So sad, we must forgive him. Also, he spends pretty much the entirety of this book imagining ways of killing his wife because he thinks, and I quote, that she is going to steal the child away from him and that she's hurting the child when she's not doing that. I mean, they're both doing it. It's not her fault. But we are supposed to think that he's the hero of the story for some fucking reason. Oh, wait, because it was written by a man. And I mean, at first I thought it was a satire. I thought that this was going to turn around. However, and this is a minor spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, until I put this hand down, don't hear it. So, minor spoiler, I thought that this was supposed to be just the author making fun and satirize about the situation. It is not, because in the end of the book, you see that the one to blame is of course the woman, because she was having out of marriage sexual relationships with other people, and she was also depressed and insane, and she conveniently went amnesiac throughout the entirety of the book. Ah, my god. I mean, I want to throw up, and it's not only because of the vaccine. It's because I hated this. This had nothing good, and I'm very sorry. People like this. I have seen reviews on Goodreads. Some people have given it 1 star, as I have, but there are people like this, and it doesn't make you stupid. If you like it, it's fine. And if you want to discuss with me my opinions in the comments, that's also fine. However, I cannot forgive the fact that these 2 adults responsible for this traumatized child that doesn't even know who she is because of them just want to know about killing each other, fucking, and not putting the safety of their daughter first. Which, that alone ruined this fucking book for me. The motivations of these people were zero. They had no motivation except for, let's fuck this up. It wasn't intriguing, it wasn't interesting. I laugh out loud sometimes because I was like, what is this man thinking writing this? This is not a portrayal of a mother. This is not a portrayal. It could be the portrayal of a very toxic couple, but that's not supposed to be the story. And with that, I have just told you all of the books that I read in August. I am very sorry for the time that this took, but I have to take a lot of pauses to drink water and to just hydrate and breathe. So if you've read any of these books and you want to comment down below, tell me something. And that's all for today. Happy readings to you all. Bye!